Hey everybody, it's the Trout, and welcome to the Trout Show. Thanks so much for joining us. What do you think goes through your mind when you're over 8 months pregnant, you're a lead singer in a brand new band, and it's your very first gig? I'm sure a lot of goes through your mind about, please don't let me have the baby now. But that's just one of the many stories that I got to hear during this episode with Twilight Muse, a couple of great musicians out of New York City. Meg and Andrew found themselves purely by accident when they were in a studio one day. And that was in 2019. As they say, the rest is history. They hit it off, decided that they could make music together. Now, they have two completely separate lives. They both have their own families, they both have their own children. But together they come together to perform as Twilight Muse. They're a pop group coming out with a brand new album that I think you'll enjoy. This, like I said, is one of the interesting stories. They both are very professional individuals that are doing great jobs and decided it was time to take a detour in their lives a little bit, write some music, perform it, not just live, but on a brand new album that they're coming out with. So sit back and enjoy this episode of Twilight Muse with a great group out of New York City. Before we get there, remember, if you like this channel, give me a thumbs up. And if you like this episode, please press the like button. You know what I'm saying? It helps us a lot. So up next, more stories from two very interesting musicians, two separate lives that are now making great music together. That's the Twilight Muse, and that's next on The Trout Show. Let's start with the basic stuff. Let's start individually as far as Meg, you've been in the business for quite some time.
Yeah.
And you work for a promotion company or a booking. Tell me a little bit about what you do real quick.
Yeah, sure. So I started my career in hospitality, and then I went to work for CAA, Creative Artist Agency, and then William Morris Endeavor. And I'm
Heard of
now
them.
yeah, I'm now at Superfly, who are an experience company. They're the creators of some of the greatest music festivals globally, Bonnaroo, Outside Lands, and then other fan-obsessed properties, and everything focused on the
Never
fan.
heard that term before. Fan obsessed. I love that.
Yeah, BravoCon is one of our co-creations with NBC Universal. But we're always thinking about fan first and how to create an epic experience for fandoms.
What has changed since COVID for you guys?
Oh my God,
Anything?
everything. When you're a live experience company and you get hit with something like COVID, where
Oh
you
yeah.
cannot create live experiences, to me, that's where I think the genius really happens. I think a lot of people can do things when things are status quo, but when you have organizations, leaders, people who can pivot during a crisis and create and still move forward during like unprecedented times, like those are people that I like to be surrounded by. And Superfly is definitely one of those companies who adapted to the environment and thrived. And many businesses failed.
Oh yeah.
We did not. And we're coming out even stronger than ever, back to pre-COVID, numbers and things like that. So it's been a wild ride. And I thoughts and prayers to everyone who's in this business, because it was tough. It was really tough.
So Andrew, you're in a nice office. What do you do?
I've done a lot of different things during my career, but for the last 20 years, I've been really dedicated to what we call disruption for good, which is using technology, investing in technology to transform traditional industries like energy and transportation and make them more sustainable. So I'm all about impact investment. That's sort of my day job, but I've built my career starting different firms in this space. I had an advisory business for a decade in the area where I helped big companies go green. And then the last 13 years since, well, 12 years, I've been investing in the space, clean energy, transportation, all that kind of stuff. Earlier in my career, I was a writer, actually, also journalist, and then wrote 2 books. And
Oh, wow. What kind of books were they?
I wrote one book about how America was doing in the world. It was sort of an ironic take on international globalization called We're Number One. That book actually sold a fair amount of copies and was published in Japan and Germany at the time, because those were the days when those were our big competitors, not China.
Yeah.
This is all the way back in 1992, if you can believe it. It's my first book. And then I wrote a book about technology's impact on society called The Control Revolution. Came out in 99.
So both of you have had successful careers, still have successful careers. What I think is interesting about it was, and of course this is why we're having this conversation, is about how you two met and how neither one of you really were in a band and sitting around like me, been in records, been recording and stuff like that. And I guess, according to what I read, you guys were at a jam or something. So tell me kind of how that all, you just were there. Were we going to sing, or what we're going to do?
Okay, I'll go. Yeah, so I was actually meeting like a prospective client. We kind of got to talking, really bonded over music, and he had invited me to, he's like, do you play an instrument? And I was like, no, not really, but I can kind of sing. But he's like, so we have this jam. There's like a bunch of people come. It's really loose. Like, would you want to go? And I was like, sure, I'll go. Like, I don't even know why I said yes. I would like normally never say yes to that, but I was like, yeah, I'll go. I really liked this guy. He was really, really cool, like trustworthy.
Was it at a house or at a where was it?
It was at a Smash Studios in New York City.
Smash. Okay, the studio.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's like a cool studio. You could bring your own booze, like very, very like good party vibe. So I came. There was like maybe 15 people there. We were kind of just jamming. I was singing, and then in walked Andrew, like a little late. He just sat right down at the piano, started playing, started singing, and I was like, oh my God, I love this guy. Like, he was like the one I was like, this guy's great. Like, he's belting it out. And then he had to like leave early. And I'm like, wait, where's that guy going? So, that's my like take on it. And we went back to a couple of those, and then ultimately, something larger had formed, but it was totally by chance, by timing, so random, just said yes.
So do you think it really was a coincidence, or do you think that you guys were meant to be there?
I think we were meant to be there. I believe in all that shit.
Hey, Andrew, I forgot you played keyboard. Tell me a little about your piano background. Did you start when you were a kid? Oh, and guitar. Okay.
I did start as a kid. I keys were my first instrument, piano, and like a lot of people, piano lessons in the 5th grade or whatever, and kind of hated them. Didn't really love the lessons, but when I was in, I guess, early high school, just started sitting down at the piano and just figuring it out. Had a good ear. Took a few music theory lessons with someone, which kind of just taught me how to teach myself.
Right.
Played keys in some bands and stuff in high school and into college, and then picked up guitar a little bit in college. But the reality is, got busy with life, work, family. I've got a wife and 3 kids, and kind of put the music on hold, even though I was starting to write stuff in those days, for almost 3 decades, which is kind of crazy. So, probably pretty much between the age of 20 and 50, I hardly did anything in music, hardly picked up an instrument, and then finally found time as I was about to turn 50 to get back into it. And then Meg and I met like a year after that, probably around then, right? And it was just, like you said, I think it was more than coincidence. I believe as well in, we call it kismet or luck or
right,
whatever it is. We were meant to connect, and we played in this really fun funk cover band called Ultrasound.
Oh, that's right. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. I mean, Meg will tell you how we got to the name. But that was really fun. And then
I would imagine she was pregnant at the time.
Exactly.
I like just started the band. I'm like, pregnant.
Yeah.
Worst time
we did our first gig at a cool East Village dive bar joint. And
My
Meg
God,
was what, 8 months pregnant?
8 months pregnant. I
We
was
were
like,
like, just don't give
dude,
birth before the show.
No,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, and we were
Or
trying to
or
push the
during the
show.
show. Please don't.
During the
Yeah.
show. Excuse
We
me.
kept pushing the show, and I'm like, you guys, we cannot push the show. Like, and I remember my husband was rubbing like whatever Ben Gay or something like on
Yeah.
my, because I had like this muscle spasm.
Right.
He was like basically like a football player giving me like a shot and then like patting me on the ass to like get on the stage, and like it was crazy. It was
And I'm
crazy.
But
sure.
she
Okay, so
crushed
let me
it.
ask you. I
Crushed
ask.
it 8 months pregnant.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Meg. You weren't a musician, okay?
No.
So I mean, so you go up to your husband and say, "Hey, I'm going to be in a band."
Oh yeah.
What was his response? It had to be kind of like, "What?"
Well, I mean, luckily for me, I have like the world's greatest husband who is like very he's always like down. He's like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, Meg's doing that now. Like that's great." He had heard me like sing karaoke once or twice before, and he was kind of my biggest fan, when I had no fans. So he like believed in me a lot, and he was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Like good for you. That sounds really fun." Like, so he was very
Yeah.
totally on my team about it.
So
So
he's not a musician either, is he? I mean, he's not a musician or do you play anything?
he's not a musician, but he actually is got an incredible ear for music. Really, really, really good taste. He makes some of like the best mixtapes. Like he could have been like a DJ or like a music
Right.
like scores and stuff like that. Like he's really got it. But he's actually a writer himself. He does more like corporate and like PR type of writing, and
Ah.
he writes for a pharmaceutical publication. But he's got the stuff. I think he can
And
rock a tambo.
hey, I've known people that couldn't even do that. How do you
Yeah,
do that on time thing? How
Exactly.
do you
it's
know? So,
hard. It's hard.
so when did you guys realize? So here you got your separate lives, you got your separate businesses, you're doing separate things. Isn't there a song called Separate Ways or something? Anyway,
It's about divorce though, right?
yeah, I think so, probably. When did the spark come that said, you know what, I think we ought to put something together and start doing something? What precipitated that moment for you guys to go from just hanging out to going like, let's get serious about it?
I actually remember when Andrew like asked me. So something was formulating, I guess, Andrew, with you and at the time Michael and Simon, I guess. But they asked me, they're like, we're gonna like out of this larger jam, they're like, we're gonna start a band. Do you want to be in it? And I was like, what? Like, and again, I just said yes because most of the time I really didn't think anything was gonna happen. Like I was like, oh, we'll get together and jam like in 7 months because these are all busy people. I
Right.
didn't really think it would take off, but I just said yes because I had so much fun and I liked them. But like I was just kind of like blown away by it, really. I don't know. What were you guys planning, Andrew? I never even asked you that.
We were not planning anything. It was all, again, like you said, just like winging a prayer. Like, let's just do this. It'll be fun. And, it happens incrementally. I mean, Rick, you know what that's like. You play together once, there's a good vibe, you play together again.
Yep.
And that continued, and we played out, a bunch of times. Obviously, then COVID happened. But during COVID, because we'd already started playing together, it actually created an amazing opportunity for us to like exercise the creative muscle, in a new way. So we
Yeah.
actually, during COVID, recorded 3 covers and made 3 music videos.
So what were the covers? What were the covers?
Um, the first was Whole Lot of Love, but the Tina Turner version. Do you know
Okay.
that? It's that kind of
I've never heard that. I've never heard
Oh
that
my
version.
God, you got to look it up.
I hear it.
Especially now
Meg,
that she's no longer with us, I got to look it up.
yes,
Yeah.
and Meg just crushed it. And the best part about it, Meg, I got to tell this part, is that because she has a little kid at the time and neighbors, she's like, where am I going to sing during COVID? You know, belting this out, into my iPhone. I was like, she figured out, she's like, I'm going in my car. So we have video of her, like grainy video of her singing this song in the car, and it worked perfectly. It was awesome. I actually edited the video.
Yeah, you did.
How to use Premiere Pro, and I
Right.
edited the video. We did
Yeah.
this and I mixed the entire song. Like, we had our drummers sending us stuff. We had our bass guitar players sending stuff. I did the keys. I produced the track. That was one. Then we did a cover of Dreams, Fleetwood Mac,
Fleetwood
obviously.
Mac, yeah.
We're very big Fleetwood Mac fans and Stevie Nicks fans, and you can hear that influence in some of our music. It's kind of that 70s AOR sound. And then that one we did a video for too that was really fun. Our guitar player made that video. And then the last one, we we did a cover of the Bee Gees, You Should Be Dancing. And we totally changed it up.
That's
And
three
then-
different. Two of them kind of fall in the same category, but the other one's like, what?
Oh,
Yeah.
you got to see our cover of You Should Be Dancing.
It's
great.
really good. It's
Is
on
it still
Spotify.
out there? Can you still
Yeah,
see
you
it?
can find it on YouTube.
Is it under Ultrasound? Is that where you guys are? Where is it
Yeah,
found? Okay.
Exactly.
It's on Ultrasound. Yeah, the song is on Spotify and stuff, and then you can find the
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
So Andrew, you had to learn how to use a DAW.
I had already been learning, but
Oh, you'd already been working on it?
I'd already
Okay.
been recording in Logic and doing a little bit.
Oh,
of
okay.
producing and-
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Again, COVID helped. We had extra time, so I figured it out. And even just figuring out how to record remotely was not easy. Like
No.
our bass player had never done his own recording, but I was able through Zoom and now remote control of computers to actually record on Logic on his side.
Oh, that's cool.
It's pretty neat. And like a lot of bands, we just figured it out.
Yeah.
And that was all, creativity that I have to tell you, like, I don't think any of us had done anything like that before. I mean, now Meg is, has a background where she was a dancer growing up. And so some of the dancing you see in like the You Should Be Dancing thing is pretty cool. But we also had an amazing aerial drone shot.
Oh,
Out in
cool.
the Hamptons. I was out in the Hamptons living out there at the time. And then Meg and I did a video together for another cover song. I guess that was during COVID too, Meg, right? That I did as a solo
Oh yeah.
project, which was a cover of the modern English song I Melt With You.
Oh, sure.
And that was also really cool. And we did a lot of drone photography and that. So we just started going deeper. And then I would say, Meg, maybe you should talk about how we started writing together, because it came out of your COVID experience first. And
But
then-
I think, but didn't your ultrasound, it's not there anymore, is it? Or you guys still do anything? It's just the two of you, right?
It's
right
just
now?
the two of us. We did a big gig, Rick, that we planned for a long time, which was an amazing gig. It was a charity fundraiser for Felix organization, which supports kids who are in foster care in New York City.
Mhm,
It gets them
mhm.
summer camp and stuff like that. And it
Mhm.
was started by Darryl McDaniels, better known as DMC from
Oh,
Run-DMC.
okay. Yeah.
So we did this. I had gotten to know the organization and really wanted to do a benefit show. We'd done another benefit show before that. We always like to bring causes into our work.
Mhm.
As
Well, you
musicians.
weren't doing it for the money.
Correct.
Yeah.
Felix Organization is a really great group, and DMC is himself. Darryl's an amazingly philanthropic, wonderful human being.
Yeah.
He was a foster kid, and he wants to help other kids. And but how did we get people to come out? We got 300 people to come and pay a high price for a charity, full donation to the charity.
That's cool.
Darryl came and played 3 songs with us.
That's
and so
cool.
we did Walk This Way, they're great too.
Yeah, the one with Aerosmith. Yeah.
Meg crushed it. Meg was the Steve Tyler part, and she just crushed it. She
I
slayed
didn't
it.
even know I
Darryl-
was going to be doing the verse, and he like live threw me like the last verse.
All right.
Luckily, I practiced.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't, I thought I was just doing like walk this way stuff, but then he's like, take it away. And I'm like, holy
I'm throwing to
shit.
you. Go.
Yeah, it was, it is definitely like a life moment.
And
right
300 people's eyes are looking at you going, we're waiting.
Yeah, I know. I was like, this is insane. It was so cool.
I love that because I talk to so many professionals. They're not driven by money, they're driven by the music, but they still want to get paid. I mean, they're doing it for a living.
Right. Yeah.
So you
it's
guys
different.
are on the side of it that's, and you know what's interesting? I think this is what's going to happen to you guys is what's the old saying? When you're not looking for something, that's when it shows up or something like that. You guys aren't really looking for anything. I mean, you are, but you're not. That's when people start, because you're not into it like, oh, I hope they love us. I hope they, all that stuff. I mean, you do want that. But on the other hand, it's like, we're just going to go out and play.
Well,
So,
it's- yeah,
go
that's
ahead.
Right. I mean, I feel like that's like a lot of things, like when you're looking for a new job or you're like dating, like when you don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or you're not in a relationship, that's when people are hitting on you because you don't care and you're free and you're yourself, right? And you feel secure. Or when you have a job and you're like interviewing for another job, you're like, I don't need this job. And then they're like, I really want to hire her. Why doesn't she want to work for us? It's like that. So I think we have that thing, and we're sort of more open, and like things are gravitating our way because we're just having a good time, and like we're accepting of things, and we know what we can and we can't do. So I think whatever it's going to be, it will be, because we have like a lot of positivity around the project, and we're just having a good time. I think like ultimately we want people to listen to the music is like goal number one. Like
Sure.
we want people to enjoy it because we enjoyed making it. But yeah, if someone wants to buy our song, like this is icing on the cake. Like, okay, but it's not like the goal. And I think that plays a lot into our story. Like it's reverse engineering of the whole approach. You know, we didn't start our careers in this way. Like we built our foundation and our security in our lives, and now it's unlocked a freedom and a creativity to go and do it without the pressure of being like, I got to pay the bills. I got to be out at like 6 nights a week till 3 a.m.
Yep.
Get $150 for a gig.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're lucky in that way. So like, I don't know, maybe we're doing it right.
So when did you guys start writing for this particular project?
About a year ago, a little over a
Okay.
year ago, right, Meg? I mean,
Yeah.
some of the tunes, had been germinating like they do.
Yeah.
And the most incredible thing and the magical thing, and that's why we both think about this, is like, it's not luck, because our songwriting together is just so easy, right? I've written songs before. I've tried to write with other people. It's hard. It's
It
really
is.
hard to
I
write.
don't write with other people. I haven't ever
Yeah.
done that.
And so I'd written my own stuff, and um, you know, but we started, it was sort of at the tail end of Ultrasound, started trying to do a little bit together. And then, even though we were super busy, each of us, with our work and our families, like we've just made time. And frequently it's as simple as like Meg will sing a little piece of a chorus and a couple words into her voice memo and send it on over to me, and I'll put some chords around it, and then we'll get to a song structure, and the lyrics just kind of flow from there. And we've just been really fortunate that we've got 7 originals on this album. We've already got more songs we're writing. We've got some really cool covers. You mentioned the Cars earlier. When we did our live show at the Bitter End, we did a cover of You Might Think,
Yeah, that's a cool
uh,
tune.
that we totally changed up. And we're going to record that at some point as well. So yeah, we're super excited. We've got another gig coming up on July 11th,
Saw that.
at the Mercury Lounge, another venerable host here in New York City. So I think it's just been super exciting. And I just, to pick up on another thing that Meg just said that I think is resonating with folks is, the fact that today almost anybody can make music. The means of
Correct.
production, right, has just gotten cheaper,
Yeah.
easier. And so I think a lot of people are like, wow, you guys have done this thing and created an entire album, and it's out there and people can listen to it, and they're getting inspired, whether it's music or some other creative passion. We've partnered with a couple friends of ours to do cover art for the singles,
That's cool.
to get really cool imagery and art. So that's really the outcome we want here. We want people to hear this music and be inspired by it. The lyrics, some of them can get pretty heavy. Some of them are more inspiring and light.
That's
But
music for you.
yeah,
Yeah. I would honestly say, and
Well, you're
again,
happy with what you do.
this is under the guise of like, I know it's not perfect, but like I don't hear anything and have any regrets.
There you go. Well, I didn't say you have regrets.
Yeah, but like I think the songs will get better. Like we'll like probably lean into something a little bit more. Like you'll hear on the first album, like it goes in probably three different types of places. Like there's like a lot of like R&B, there's some new wave, and then there's some more like indie. But like they do all have like a nucleus, but like I think we'll end up gravitating maybe towards something, but like I just think we can, like, the lyrics can go deeper. Like that's kind of more of what I think about. Like, oh, we should tap into that more. Like when we talk about this or like that, like we could go deeper, but like I'm never like, oh shit, I could have done that note better. And that's probably due to the incredible producers we worked with. But like I'm still at the phase where I'm like, I can't believe that's like us. Like
Totally.
I think I'm still in like, holy shit, we did that.
Well,
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's, and you know what? You're not, and I said this at the very beginning, you're not 20 years old.
Yeah.
You're down the road a little bit. And when you're as far down the road as I am, you just, you just know what's better. You just kind of know what it is.
Yeah. I mean, we have a really like discerning taste now, I
But you
guess.
brought up a good point because I noticed in your information that you had some fairly good producers. Is that through contacts you all had? I guess it did.
It's all Andrew's peeps.
Your peeps,
My peeps
Andrew?
now too, but
Yeah, they're all your peeps too. Yeah, Dan McKenzie was the first producer. He's LA based and he's worked with some incredible artists, Joss Stone, Martin Sexton, Lisa Loeb.
I'm a huge Joss Stone fan.
Yeah,
I'd love to talk to her. She just seems like a fun person to be around.
yeah.
Anyway.
He's written with her, he's produced her. And I met him through a common friend who was a musician, and actually we all went to the same college, Brown. So there was a
Hmm.
connection. And he was kind. He listened to my stuff and he said, I don't just jump in and start working with anyone. Like I really
No.
like what you're doing. And then the other producers, the other two gentlemen are in New York, younger guys, and they each brought something different that we were looking for. Jason Cummings, who works at a well-known studio here in Greenwich Village, right near NYU, called the Cutting Room.
I've heard of it.
He has, again, a little bit more of an indie rock, even Americana vibe, and we wanted that on a couple of the tunes. And then Will Baker, who's got his own studio out in Brooklyn called Slide, brought like a little bit of a more contemporary, almost R&B beat to our songs, and he produced 3 of the tracks. And the track we just released, Forever, really has his impact on it, I would say, Meg, right? Even
Okay.
though ironically, like I produce the demos of our tracks, and
Hmm.
sometimes the producers we will just start from scratch, right? And
Right.
do live drums and all that. But with Will, we've just gotten in a mode where I start and he literally takes the Logic file to the next level.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And so everything on Forever was played by me and just enhanced by Will. Actually, maybe we added some guitar
Yeah.
that he played. But yeah, and then to your point about like looking back at the songs, the one thing I would say is, we put together a great band for our Bitter End debut show. They're going to play with us again at our Mercury Lounge show. And one of the
I'm sorry if
gents,
you hear my dogs barking or bark. I got 3 golden retrievers. Somebody's at the front door or something. Anyway, so
all good,
apologize for that. Go ahead.
that's like, but our lead guitar player was just doing such fabulous work on a couple of the tracks that we actually brought him back into the studio, even though we quote unquote finished those songs, and asked him to add guitar solos on Oh Mama and on Audacious, and they just really improved those 2 songs.
Yeah.
So I think of songs as like iterative creations, right? They shouldn't be fixed in time. Yes, you do a recording and it's up on the streaming services and all that, but a song should live on. It should have like future lives when you play it live. And like some of our favorite artists have reinterpreted their own work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just even look what U2 did in the last year, doing that whole new project where they went back and just did like very stripped down versions of their songs. Just really mostly, I think, Bono and the Edge. They're beautiful. They're
Well,
really,
you're in different parts in your life. That's where
yeah.
things change too. You're here and then you're there and you learn different things, you know, that changes your whole mindset of what you're doing. And so the person in LA, did you just send them the tracks or the stems and say, here, what do you think? Or is that how y'all, yeah.
we did both. I mean, we actually went out there and recorded live with him, especially vocals.
Okay.
Because that's just harder to do remote, but we've done it. We did it during the pandemic. There are tools that you can now use. I'm sure Listen to and things like that, where you can actually be recording on a DAW on one side and have someone listening on the other side.
Yeah, it's amazing the stuff they can do now.
Yeah, I mean, Meg did that with Dan McKenzie a couple times, but then he's a taskmaster. So like being in person, he'll be like, "Do it again, do it again."
I've never like been pushed that hard. I don't think like ever, but like I find it to be really hard to sing like studio recording because I'm not a professional, right?
Right.
Like I've only like sang out live, and I only knew how to use my voice live, which is the complete opposite of what you do when you're recording. Like Andrew would always say to me, he's like, "Meg, let the mic do the work," and I'm like,
use your inside voice.
by that. And I'm like, I'm a screamer. I don't get it. I don't know what you mean. And then, it took a while for me to understand that the mic really will do the work. It will pick up, got to move away. And like,
oh, it's scary. I'm telling you, the first time I went in,
he prepped me for the Dan.
When you're standing in front of a $10,000 microphone, I remember when it happened to me. When I record, I've been doing stuff, but in 94, I recorded my first album. And I went into the studio, hired studio musicians. My producer was there, an engineer, and he said, stand this way because the sweet spot is right here. And I just remember going, like, touching my face, and I could hear it, and I went, oh, I got to get good real quick.
Yeah, right?
The nuance is
like,
there. Yeah.
Scary.
So where do you go from here? What's your most people I ask, what's your dream, but what's your goal? I mean, you're business people, so what's your goal?
I mean, I think 1, get people to listen to our music. 2, play it live, when we can. And 3, like keep writing and rinse, repeat, like as long as we can, as long as it's there, like, let's keep doing it. And, it doesn't feel like a job. It hasn't felt like a job.
No.
For me personally, like I work a lot, I'm with my family a lot, and the free time I have is like dedicated to this. That's it. Like I don't really go and see, like, my friends are all having babies now, so it's like everyone's starting their family. Like we don't get to hang out as much as we used to. So like it's all I've got. So like to me, as long as it's like still fun, and Andrew and I, like, I don't think we're ever going to kill each other. We're a good partnership. Like I think we're going to just keep trying to do it.
Perfect.
And so where did and I don't remember seeing this, where did the name come from? The band?
You want to answer?
Well, obviously Twilight means 2, I guess, but tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we liked the fact that there's actually, it's a bit open-ended, right? There's some multiple meanings. Twilight is obviously the time of day, but it also could be a time in your life. Muse is something that inspires you, but it's also, if you use it as a verb, like you're musing, thinking creatively, wondering about something. So we kind of like the openness of it. It was a name that no one had taken. So
yeah.
So how many tunes are going to be on this first release?
7.
7. Okay.
All originals.
What do your friends have been in response to your music?
My friends are so supportive. Like they come and see us play. They like we have like a big group chat. Like everyone's always like sharing like things about themselves. The group chat is called Make America Fun Again. And we like it's called
right
like
now that's exactly what we need, trust me.
Yeah, it's called the Maffa family, and every time someone like does something cool, they share it there, and it's a very like supportive thing. But they're really supportive. And then like some people ask me like where are you finding the time to do all of this? And I'm like, I have to remind them that like I don't do anything else but this. Like, it's not like me and my husband like go out to dinner like once every 2 months. Like, when you have like we have a 3.5-year-old, we don't have a lot of babysitters, like it's tough to like get out. So we're like kind of at this point in our life homebodies, but overall it's very supportive. And then people are like, where'd you find the time kind of thing? So it's good to have a good group of friends, good network pushing us forward.
And Andrew, what about your friends? Of course, you've been kind of working, people in the business, both of you do, but what's been the response?
Yeah, no, my friends have been similarly super supportive, and I have a lot of musician friends as it happens, even in the investment world. Just folks who maybe I gravitate towards them and they towards me. But people are really into it, and I think like Meg's friends, they're like, "Wow, you guys, how are you finding the time for this?" Someone said to me, "So did you quit your day job?" I was like, "No, I haven't." If the downturn of the last 18 months hadn't happened, maybe. But yeah, no, I'm working and I love what I do during the day too, because it's all about impact and purpose. And frankly, our music is the same in a different way.